HandMouse1 here. Welcome to another game dev video. This is the first in what will be a series of devlogs for a Scratch game that I'm making. My goal with this game is to make a simple farming game, like a really stripped back version of Stardew Valley. In this episode I make a lot of the general world systems like tile scrolling, world generation and a couple other natural systems to start bringing this world to life. I always start with some basic artwork for my games. I know art shouldn't necessarily be something to focus on at the start of development, but I find working with generic squares and rectangles really boring, and I'm guessing that this is a bit more visually interesting for all of you as well. I start with tile scrolling, and to be clear, this isn't meant to be a tutorial. I use a custom block with run without screen refreshed selected to load in all the tiles, so it happens all in one frame. I give each tile a value based on its position on the screen and the width of the world. Where possible, I'm using a variable for the number of tiles in the world width and height, because right now I don't know how big I want the world to be, and this makes it easier to change in the long run. I'm using WASD for movement, and I change variables for the X and Y positions in the world. There's a variable also for what tile is in the top left corner, so that the tiles know what costume that they need to take. All the world's tiles are stored in a list, and then the clones can use their values to determine which costume they should show from that list. The reason I have such a big border around the edge of the screen is because tiles can't go fully off the screen, and this hides the jump that they do at each end of the screen and makes it look like it's one fluid movement and not moving and then resetting and moving and resetting. The world generates randomly with the options of large trees, and small rocks spawning randomly in each tile, and then all the other tiles are grass. If there are any 4x4 patches of grass at the end of this, the system then runs through and finds them, and there's a chance for this patch to become a large rock. And this is where I eventually get it to. So then I wanted to add some natural systems in. First I give the small trees the ability to grow into big trees after a certain amount of time has passed. For this I create another list to house additional information about each tile. In this, it stores a time for it to change. When this time passes, the tile switches from type A to type B, causing the tile to update costume. I also make it so that seeds can drop if there's a tall tree next to a grass tile, and after a while that grows from a small tree to a big tree. And eventually, because of this system, any non-rock tile in this world would become a large tree. Everything is set a lot faster than I want it to be, but for the sake of example, this works pretty well. Finally, I add in a daylight cycle, but all this does right now is change the brightness of each tile. It probably will have some effect on whether or not plants grow in some capacity, but for now, this is enough. And that's all I've got for this week's devlog. I really hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. It lets me know that this is something you want to see more of. And apart from that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!